Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Main Event Interviews. My name is Main Event. I am your host. We're visiting today with another Steemit user. Today we're visiting with Crazy BG Adventure. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So tell us about that username. What does that mean exactly to you?
Crazy BG Adventure. Well, this is probably what it means to me is kind of jumping into the deep end and not knowing what's going to be happening in the future.
Okay, that's very interesting. And where in the world are you this evening?
I am in Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, awesome. So this show now has reached even more countries. I've spoken to somebody that was in the UK so far, Spain, Indonesia, Canada, and now Bulgaria. So that's very
Yeah.
cool. I'm finding that really fascinating that we're talking to so many different people from all over the world. Do you find that your Steemit experience, are you interacting with people from all over the world as well?
Yeah, I am. I'm following quite a few people at the moment. I'm particularly interested in somebody that's running a project in the Philippines, and they're doing a lot of university projects at the moment, all centered around Steemit, and I think they're trying to enlist other students to actually join and blog and see what the value of the Steemit platform's all about. So I'm really enjoying seeing the differences in cultures and what people do. You know, it's some really interesting posts that I've been reading.
Definitely, for sure. I know that I've interacted now with people from all over the place that I would have never seen before had I not joined
Mm,
Steemit. Now,
mm.
how long have you been on the platform?
I joined the platform in June of this year.
Okay, and was there something in particular that brought you to Steemit, or uh, was it just kind of something you discovered?
Well, what I tend to do with my time is I teach part time, teaching English online. I work with a friend doing it. I'm in Bulgaria. My friend's in India, and she was the one who actually told me about Steemit. And she was like, "Oh, it's really good. You should join. You get paid for blog posts." And I says, "Yeah, I'll check it out." And I kind of got started and just did a few blog posts and thought, yeah, okay, I seem to be making a little bit of money here. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to have a look at it, I really need to work out whether this is going to be worth doing or not, or if it was just going to be a fad, because I've been involved in some things which before they'll tell you that it's the next best thing since sliced bread, and then the next thing it just dies. So I spent a lot of time doing a bit of research on it, and I really got serious with it, and I've been enjoying it ever since. I constantly doubt my own work, unfortunately, even though lots of people say, "Oh, I'm really good post and everything," but I always try and make myself out to be better than what I currently am. So I always try and reach perfection. But my biggest problem is I rush my work. I hold my hands up. That's probably one of the biggest problems is I rush my work.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, we all are stretched for time, I'm sure, and so that
Yeah.
type of thing does happen. So, before Steemit, had you ever blogged before? Were you ever involved with, doing your own blogs?
Yeah, I've done blogging before and probably never took it as serious. I think really because the good thing I love about Steam is I like the animosity of it. So I like the fact that the people who see my work don't really know me. There's nothing worse that my biggest fear, because I'm doing another blog about living in Bulgaria, which my family can see, and that to me just fills me with dread because they can see what I'm writing and they'll always be supportive and everything, but never really critical where I want people to be critical. And that's why I love Steemit, because the people who see my work, other than my friend who's the only one that knows me, everybody else that doesn't know me, they can see me as an individual person who they've never met. And then I can judge my work on the basis of what they think. So whether they'll say it's really good, or if I don't get much interaction, I love it. I love it purely on that point because they don't know me from Adam. Which is, it's probably the number one thing that brings me back to Steemit on a day-to-day basis.
And that's a really interesting way to look at it too. I hadn't really thought about it that way. I'm in a similar situation where I don't know anybody personally on the platform. I don't have any close family or friends really on the platform at all. So it's basically all people who don't know me either. And it is interesting to hear their feedback, on your posts. And they're obviously, like you said, they're going to give you straight up opinions on it. They're not going to sugarcoat it just because it's your friend or your relative or something like that. So that actually is a very interesting way to look at Steemit. I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective. But that's very interesting. Now, what types of blogs do you write about on Steemit?
Well, originally when I came on, I went on with the intention of the adventure that I was going to do, which I'm currently writing. It's an ongoing post. I think I'm up to part 7, maybe part 8 now, of my story of how I got here, and it's an ongoing progressive thing. But then there's only so much that you can talk about growing vegetables and hot weather and making your own alcohol and this, that, and the other. And then people might sort of think, well, there's only so much you can talk about cabbages or so much you can talk about wine. So what I've done is I spend a lot of time on the internet, just scouring different things. So it's really, my posts are so diverse. I mean, as an example, I did a post a couple of weeks ago on, it just came out of the top of my head on a morning, and I thought, I'm going to do a post about nostalgia to do with the 80s. And I kind of picked some of the best things that I remember from the 80s when I was a kid. And I wrote them down and I put some pictures in. And, it was kind of like, to me, it wasn't the best post. I thought personally I'd done other posts which were better. But I thought, I seem to be happy with that. And I titled it, Are You an 80s Kid? And I put things like about VHS videotapes and movies and cartoons, things like that. And then I left it and I went out that day. And then I came back a couple of hours later, went on Steemit and checked the post, and it got queried. So the post had jumped up by $200. And I was just absolutely blown away. I think that's actually what cemented my relationship with Steemit there and then. When I seen all these comments and come flooding in, and all these people who were like, I really loved the post, and who wanted to add things to it as well. And, I met new friends as a result of it as well. So it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'm looking at that post right now, and it is cool because I'm an 80s kid too, so...
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally right up my alley. I do basically the same thing. I don't really necessarily write about the same topics all the time. I'm mostly photography, and now with the radio posts and doing things like that. So that's going to be mostly my focus, I think, going forward for a while. But it's nice to be able to just jump on and blog about whatever you want, right? Whatever you're feeling that day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some days I might only do one post. Other days, like today, I did 5, and it was just because the things were just. Some days is like that. I find, great, I can do a post about this. I can do a post about that. And I try not to make the post short if I can. I mean, some people who do photography, I really value it and respect them for what they do, but because I'm not a photographer, I don't understand it as much is what the photographer does. And those who have a liking to photography are going to appreciate it probably more than me. So I tend to steer clear of doing a post with maybe, without the written word. So I like to do, a fair bit of writing with pictures, but I don't want to make the post too long as well. I want to make it kind of just right. So that's the other great thing about it, I guess, of the Steemit, because it's so diverse, across the board with what people are interested in, and it's so non-judgmental, and it attracts its own audience, which I think is a massive help as well to the platform.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, some things might not be anything you particularly care for, but somebody else might, and that's always going to
Yeah,
happen, and difference of opinions and stuff. But I'd
yeah,
also agree that just throwing up a picture with no words or anything, that's not a good idea either. I do curation myself, and so whenever I come across those kind of posts, I try to leave them a comment. I say, hey, you should have went into some more detail, like telling us about how you took that picture, or where were you, like, in the world, or what was going on that day that made you want to take that picture, or what were you
mm,
what were you feeling, or something like that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it was like for me from a photography point of view, I like um I like things with passion. So, and I love black and white photos. I really do. I love black and white photos. Give me a black and white photo of somebody on a cold, grey day walking along a beach, and I think that's one of the most perfect pictures you could ever look at.
Definitely, I totally agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Are there any blogs out there that you want to give a shout out to, or any Steemit users maybe that have helped you along the way that you want to mention on the show?
Yeah, there's a couple actually. I did a post about it today, so I want to give a big shout out to Rufaz. She was probably one of the first people that I spoke to on the PAL network, and she supports me on every single post. I mean, I think she comments on every single post that I do. She's really helpful. I did a post a couple of weeks ago about questions I had, and I must have had about 8 questions, and she spent the time answering all 8 questions. Um, I need to give a shout out to Samo as well, because today I've entered a competition, and I've got a chance to win 200 SP, and I find out I think it's in 2 days time. So I said to Samo SK, and I said, "Oh, I've got a chance to win this competition, but I need some votes." He's like, "Give me the link, give me the link." So I give him the link. And he's like, "Right, I've just DM'd like 100 people, and you're going to win this competition." And I'm like, "All right, okay." And he's like, "Because you deserve to win." And that's the other thing I love, is just the amount of support that you can get from other people. It's just amazing. It makes for a little minnow, but for one person, they've just got this massive, incredible voice supporting them all the way along. It's just unbelievable.
And for those of you listening who may not know what we're talking about the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Discord server. Discord is a chat service, of course, and if you are not familiar with that, you should certainly jump on that if you're a Steemit user. Lots and lots of resources for you on that, don't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's not a day goes by when I don't talk to the people in there.
Yep, and that's how you can foster more friendships and relationships through that, and that will lead to more interaction on your Steemit blog. Don't I mean I've seen it. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now I'm at 266 followers, and I'm really proud of that as well, because what you'll find on Steam is you'll find people moan a lot about people wanting to do follow for follow, which I never ever do, by the way, and I'm sure you don't either.
No.
Um, but my followers is all organic, and I'm very, very proud of that as well. It's only 266. A lot more people have got a lot more than me, but I'm really proud of the fact that those followers are just purely organic. They haven't I haven't promoted or done any follow for follow to gather any of those, and I think the PAL network is a massive contribution to that.
Yeah, I think when I first started, I joined something that was like it put you on some list that other people were going to add you to and whatever, and I only dealt with that for about a week, and they were like, "Yeah, you have to add all these other people in order to stay on this list." And I'm like, "Nah, no, I'm all set," because I did not want to follow all these random blogs that I could have cared less about. So no, the follow for follow stuff, that does not do it for me at all.
Yeah,
Do you use
yeah.
Steemit.chat at all, or do you only use Discord?
No, I don't really use Steemit.chat. I find it's too busy. It's far too, I mean, sometimes PAL I find busy, but Steemit I just get lost in translation. So I don't really use the Steemit chat. Although it is a good service. For instance, when my post I was talking about earlier got queried, didn't know what query was, found out there was a chat room, found the chat room, went right. What does this mean? And they were like, well, basically what it means is congratulations. And I'm like, oh, all right. And they kind of explained a bit more, to me about it. But it's another great tool. It's another great resource to people who might want to go in there and find out more information. Just my advice would probably be if you got questions, try and find a room appropriate to the question that you've got, and not just a general room, because sometimes it can get pretty loud and it's hard to get heard in all the noise.
Yeah, and then of course you'll have people in there that get frustrated with new users coming in and asking a question that's been answered 100 times, which I can see that frustration. I can understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be nice, of course, I think, though, if when people join Steemit, if there was some better like welcoming information that kind of steers you. I mean, everybody will argue that there's like the frequently asked questions and that type of thing. But I feel like the platform evolves so much with the content and the groups and all this stuff evolves so much that it would be helpful if people could somehow steer these new users in a direction right from the moment they join.
I agree. I mean, sometimes, especially when you first come on, because it is quite overwhelming, especially when you start seeing posts about cryptocurrency and Ethereum and Litecoin and Bitcoin, and then you're like, what is all this about? I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. Do I need to know about cryptocurrency? It's enough in the very, very beginning, just to put somebody off. There is a video out there which does a very good kind of mull over about what Steemit is and how it works. And I really like that as well, because it made it very engaging into somebody like me, because I'm not really technically minded when it comes to blogs, even though that I blog a lot. I'm not the all-knowing person about blogs, probably far from. But from the Steemit point of view, there's like videos like that are really informative and help people like me, because I only joined in June, so I still consider myself a noob. So I'm probably the same as many of those people who are starting now. I probably know a little bit more, but I'm not going to say that I know a great deal more. So my learning experience is probably on par with anybody who's just joined the platform as well.
What would you say was the best resource that kind of gave you that aha moment that kind of graduated you from just being a completely new user to, okay, now I understand a little more and this is going to work for me?
That would probably only be very, very recently, and that's through curation. Through curation and getting to talk with other users, I had that aha moment, and actually it was only yesterday. And that's when I learned things like about why witnesses are important, what value they bring and how important they are to the platform, and that crypto in itself is partly relevant, but it's not all relevant. That's not what it's about. I think the hardest thing for me to understand was, and now it's really easy, was you need to get the thought of money out of your head. Because if you, of course that the money's good, but if that's what your sole purpose is, you're going to fall short of yourself all the time. And what you're going to do is you're going to let yourself down all the time. So, and I think the biggest problem is, and I'm sure you're going to agree here, when you come in on Steemit and the first things that you see are trending posts, which are making thousands, and you think, this is going to be the best thing ever, and then you get all excited and you do your first post and it makes like, I don't know, 3 cents. Absolutely. And you're like, what's all that about? Extremely let down, blah, 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 done. And that side of it, it takes time. It takes time to really get to understand it. But the more you understand it, the more you open your eyes and the more you get excited about what's going to happen. Now I don't look at Steemit from the here and now. I want to look at Steemit in 10 years' time and then think, God, do you remember the days in 10 years ago when we're only making $2 a post? and now how much are we making now? You know, it's going to be an interesting journey, definitely.
Yeah, I really hope Steemit has the staying power and that it's around for a long time. And I totally
Yeah.
agree what you're saying about the new users and just well, not even necessarily new users. Some people have stuck with it and they still feel frustrated, that their posts are only getting 10 views and they're only making 10 cents or whatever. Uh,
Mm,
I think some people on the platform though they're not tapping into all the resources available to them, like the
mm,
Discord chats, like the PAL network, things like
mm,
that, to get their content spread around a little bit more because they're going to have to make some connections with people.
mm,
As soon as you find some users that are have been around the block for a while and they've got some rep and they've got followers and stuff. If you're making contact with those people and you're starting friendships with them, the likelihood that they're going to probably re-steam, comment, or upvote your stuff is much, much, much higher, right? So
absolutely.
so making those connections, like you said, even through curation, going and commenting on people's posts and leaving genuine comments, not just a
Hmm.
hey, nice post, thumbs up, happy face.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of that. I've done that before in the past, but now I try really, really hard to leave a thoughtful, useful comment that actually will hopefully add something to their content or give them a reason to want to keep blogging.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah, I agree.
were there any other? We were talking a little bit earlier about other people you were shouting out. Were there any other Steemit users you wanted to talk about or mention?
Yeah, there's a Steemit group actually. This goes out to anybody who's doing homesteading or prepping or sort of growing their own vegetables or anything like that. And it's the Steemit Homesteaders, which is on a platform called Slack.com. I'm going to do a post about it. But basically, it's a collection of homesteaders. There's a guy called Dingo on Discord that regularly comes into the PAL main chat. He's on there. He's called Over the Way. I want to give a shout out to them guys because again, those guys are really, really awesome, super guys. And I seen somebody post something the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I've set up a Facebook group for homesteaders." And I'm like, "No, no, no! You're going backwards. You don't want to go backwards. You want to go forwards." And I was like, "Look, we've already got this. By all means, not a problem. I'll join, but I'm probably not going to participate because we've got this. So feel free to come along and chat and talk to people." So yeah, they're a really, really bunch of guys. It's called Steemit Homesteaders.
So you yourself are a homesteader, or
I'm a homesteader. I would say more of a trainee, not a homesteader. This year I'm growing my own vegetables, but next year I'm hoping to keep maybe chickens, maybe lambs. I'm not entirely sure on the lambs part yet though, but I would like to. I would like to. But this year it's really just more the vegetables than anything else.
I homestead in my dreams. Yeah, I wish I could do it. It's something I would like to do someday, and I have total respect for everybody who does do it. I definitely don't take it lightly. I know it's a very, very hard life, and it's not easy, but it is something I would love to do someday. I did start my own little container garden this year. I'm growing some cucumbers and some green peppers and tomatoes, and what else do I have? Did like some lettuces and things like that. Just I had never done gardening before, so this was my
Mm,
first go around, and it's actually going quite well.
wow.
I'm gonna have a little tomato crop this year, and it looks
Excellent.
like I am gonna get a few
Excellent.
green peppers and stuff. So, do you have a big garden yourself, or how do you do it?
It's a huge garden I've got. I mean, because I only came in April this year, I'm only used a very small portion of the front garden, and I've got maybe about 30 tomato plants growing. They're coming on well. I'm growing broccoli, sprouts, Swiss chard, cucumbers, spinach. You call it eggplant, we call it aubergines. Bell peppers as well. So I've got a few things on the go. Not all of them have survived. It's been a learning curve, but it's been interesting. I'm really glad that I've done this small bit because next month in April, next door is coming with the tractor to plough up the back garden, and that's ready for spring. Then he'll come and plough it over again, and then I've got next year's vegetables to plant in around March time.
Yeah, next year I plan to go all out and do much more gardening
Yeah,
and things because I really enjoyed it this year. I did it. I started them right from seed. I had never done it before, and they all germinated quite well, and I actually was able to get them going. So it was kind of exciting for
yeah.
me, and it was definitely fun.
Oh, you definitely get a much better sense of satisfaction of growing your own than just going to the store and buying them.
Definitely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more. But I'm really, really enjoying it because the thing being is over here I'm on a much smaller income than what I'm used to, so that has to pay part of it because I'd much rather that I can grow the vegetables and save the money than if I'm having to go out to a store and just buy them.
Definitely. Now, do you do other things besides the gardening? You said you were thinking about getting animals, or you have them now?
No, I haven't got any animals at the moment. Well, I've got three dogs, but they don't really count as
Right,
homestead.
right, right. Guard dogs,
But
maybe.
yeah, I've got two which came from England, Paddy and Max, they're brothers, and I've got a stray called Phoenix. I probably had him like a month after moving here, and he's just a pup. But yeah, I've got three now. But next year, I know I'm definitely going to get chickens because I've had chickens before, and they're really easy to look after. But I'm considering lambs as well. I'm considering them for the meat because they actually work out a lot less. And the other thing that I'm doing it as well is when you rear your own livestock, you know what you feed it and what you give it chemically, as opposed to going to a butcher and buying the meat. So it's something that I'm seriously considering. I haven't decided yet, absolutely, but it's something that I'm considering doing.
Now, what are some things about Steemit that you really enjoy? Are you you said you're in the PAL network. Are you involved in any other projects or anything like that?
So yeah, I'm involved in with the PAL network, and there's another one which is just really starting to kick off, which is called MAP, and it stands for Minnows. Let me just have a think about it here. Minnows, it's something like Minnows Associates Power or something like that. Anyway, it's like a competition that's being done, and they've got a couple of whales involved actually. And what they're doing is they're selecting six of the best authors. So they're scouring and they're entering six authors into a competition, whether the author knows about it or not. Although I don't know if that's strictly the case because I registered my interest and I just got entered into this one. They're giving a number, so I'm map 8. My friend's map 10 because that's the latest one. And then basically it's a case of you submit, I think it's 3 of your best posts, and then people get to come along and read your posts, and then they can upvote on who is the best author. Now, I thought with it just being a competition, but what the person's done is they've now set up their own Discord, and they've got a general channel in there as well. So gradually more and more people are coming in and talking to each other, and it's just another really good way of being able to build up that curation and chatting to people. I mean, for instance, I did a post the other day on someone I follow on Facebook. It's another, not Facebook, sorry, YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. That's where I get a lot of my content ideas from. And I did a post, and I think it was entitled. Let me just say. It was a couple of days ago. It was entitled Mountain Life in a Tiny House, a Story of Fynith, and it was about a woman who lives in one of these tiny houses in a mountain in Wyoming in America. And I did this big feature about it. And then when I went into this channel, this map channel on Discord, this woman came along. She was like, "Oh my goodness, I read your post and I love tiny houses too." And then somebody else came along and went, "Yeah, I really like them." So I found somebody with a similar interest to that. Um, sometimes I think I'm quite surprised because what I've started to think is that Steemit isn't as big as what I originally thought it was, or maybe just the closer tight knit circles I'm more closer to than others. Because now I'm reading a lot of content, and then I mean they're finding these people on Discord, in either PAL or Maps or Homesteaders or some way where I'm reading this amazing content, and that's a really interesting thing as well. That the content that I'm reading from these people links back to somebody like these support groups.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think these Discord chat groups are essential for new users. So if you're listening out there and you somehow found this show without listening or, checking in with Discord first, I highly encourage you to do that. And there's lots of those groups. Some of them are curation groups, some of them are content specific groups. Some of them are, like the Minnow support, where they're groups of minnows coming together to support each other. All great things and all things that will help you with your Steemit experience. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, agree 100%.
Now, were there any other topics out there that you wanted to discuss on the show, or things that maybe you have planned coming up, like any blog posts or projects that you might have coming up?
Not really as in projects or anything coming up. I think my next thing that I'm going to be doing is because I've kind of got the gist of where I am with the writing, in which there is a project that I've got coming up actually where I'm featuring another person. This person doesn't live in a tiny house. She lives in an RV and travels around America. And I've been following her for a while, and her name's Carolyn, and I contacted her because whenever I do a feature on somebody, I always ask their permission. I just think it's more respectful to do that than post something and have them maybe find it later.
I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm going to be doing a post on that. That's going to be coming up in the next week or so. She's got a really interesting life. So I'm really enjoying doing little series about people running these alternative lifestyles. That's searching and playing about with as well. So I'm really enjoying the learning experience.
Yeah, there's always more things you can do to change your blogs to get them more noticed. The formatting, all of that stuff. You said you hadn't really done a lot of blogging prior to Steemit, right?
Yeah, I tried, but I probably didn't do as much, and certainly learned nowhere near as quickly as since when I've been using Steemit.
It kind of reminds me of building websites, sort of. I know in the past I used to do some very basic website building, and it really reminds me of that because you really have to format your post. I mean, if you want something centered or in italics or different font sizes or whatever, you really have to take the time to make your post look good. And that's in addition to, of course, good grammar and, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm, of course, 100% behind original content. I totally support original content.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best content to read. Content to read. Why would you want, to read content that somebody else has done, which is clearly just copied.
Plagiarism is not cool.
No, definitely not cool at all. Not cool at all.
And thankfully, Steemit seems to have a pretty good system in place. So it's just crazy BG adventure, right? That's how we say that. And once again, coming to us from Bulgaria.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi from Bulgaria. Dobre veche.
That's really fascinating. I find it so incredible that we're talking to people from so many different places, and we're all coming together through the PAL network and through Steemit, and now the radio station too. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this interview. My name is Main Event, everybody. You can find us both on Steemit. Feel free to check us out on there if you'd like, and give us a follow if you're into that. And we really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you very much. Have a great day, Crazy BG Adventure.
Thank you. Thank you.